Many times, Joule's experiment is analyzed on the basis of caloric theory of heat, which considers heat as an invisible fluid which is transferred from high temperature body to low temperature body. But this caloric theory of heat has become obsolete because such an invisible fluid is not identified. So our discussion of Joule's experiment will be based on modern thermodynamic concepts and logical reasoning. We are going to analyze Joule's experiment in two parts. The first part is Joule's experiment with insulation, and the second part is without insulation. To start with the analysis of the first part of Joule's experiment, first we have to define this term adiabatic. Now, the term adiabatic is a thermodynamic adjective which can be used for a process or a system or a boundary. That means a process can be called as adiabatic process, or a system can be called as adiabatic system, or a boundary can be called as adiabatic boundary if only work transfer is allowed. So I am defining adiabatic as a term in which only work transfer is allowed. This is something non-conventional method of defining term adiabatic, but we have to define adiabatic on the basis of work transfer to have a correct definition of heat transfer that we are going to get at the end of the discussion of part 2 of Joule's experiment. So let us have a look at the Joule's apparatus. Joule took a copper vessel in which he inserted a paddle wheel through a hole, and this paddle wheel was connected to a couple of pulleys with the help of a rope, and the end of the rope was connected to a heavy object of mass m. In the first part, he wrapped this vessel with some sort of insulation as shown in the figure, and he inserted a thermometer which was invented by him, and the thermometer has the Lick's count of 0.01 degree centigrade. Very accurate thermometer he developed for measurement of the temperature. And he conducted this experiment with different types of fluids. He tried different liquids like water, oil, etc. He also tried different gases like air, oxygen, etc. He even tried metal balls, tiny metal balls for the experiment. And the procedure of the experiment was very simple. Just drop the weight through height's head and observe the change in temperature. Now, important part of the procedure of the experiment is that the height through which the weight was dropped was kept constant, whatever may be the type of the fluid used inside the vessel. So the experiment was not conducted for a single fluid. It was repeated for different types of fluids, metal balls, etc. But every time the height through which the weight was dropped was kept constant. What was the observation? So some may think that for different fluids, different rise in temperature was observed. But the surprising thing was that whatever may be the type of the fluid, same temperature rise was observed. He repeated the experiment by dropping the weight slowly or dropping the weight rapidly, but in all the cases, same temperature rise was observed. So, whatever may be the type of the fluid or the method of dropping the weight, delta T observed was the same. This was the element of surprise. Now let us do the thermodynamic analysis of the Joule's experiment. For that, first I will define the system as shown by the dotted line I'm drawing. This is the boundary I'm defining, and everything inside this boundary is our thermodynamic system. Second step, I will watch the boundary for the presence of energy interaction. So over here, I'm observing some type of work transfer because a shaft is inserted, and I'm calling this as shaft type of work transfer. And the magnitude of this shaft type of work transfer can be easily calculated because it is a consequence of drop of the weight through height z. So shaft type of work is equal to change in potential energy of the object, which is m into g into z. Now, due to application of the work, the temperature of the system was observed to be changing. Now, since the property of the system is changing, we can say there is a change of state of the system and a thermodynamic process is occurring. Now, let us draw this process on temperature axis because temperature is the only property of the system which is measured in the Joule's experiment. So, I will draw here the temperature axis. Suppose this is temperature axis, and I will fix the states of the system, that is initial state and final state, with the help of temperatures. So suppose the initial temperature is T1, sorry, initial temperature is T1 and the final temperature is T2. So with the help of T1, I will fix the initial state I of the system, and with the help of T2, I will fix the final state of the system, that is F. Now, as I said, the experiment was repeated for different types of fluids. Now, different types of fluids have different properties. So, when the work is applied to different types of fluids, the fluids behave in a different manner. So, some fluids may change their state very slowly from I to F following this path 1, whereas some fluids may change the state by following this path 2. Some of the fluids may change their state by following the path 3 as per their properties. But whatever may be the type of the path followed, the change in temperature delta T was observed to be same. Now conversely, I can say that to achieve the same change of state from I to F, the amount of work required to be supplied to the system was same, and that was equal to m into g into z. So I can write this in mathematical form like this: W, that is the work required to change the state of the system from I to F by following path 1, is equal to W required for change of state of system by following path 2, which is equal to the work required to change the state of the system by following path 3. Here I have added suffix ad everywhere because by our observation in this system only work transfer is allowed, and as per our definition, if only work transfer is allowed, then the system is adiabatic system. And that's why I have written a W adiabatic for path 1 is equal to W adiabatic for path 2 is equal to W adiabatic for path 3, so on and so forth. So whatever may be the path followed by the system, whether it is 1 or 2 or 3, to carry the system from the given initial state to given final state, which is identified by the temperature, same amount of work is required. In other words, this can be written like this: W adiabatic is independent of path followed by the system, whether the path is 1 or 2 or 3, it is same. So this is the important inference that we can draw from the first part of Joule's experiment. Now let us recall that something we have learned in the previous lessons, that the change of any property of the system is also independent of path followed by the system. This we already learned and proved for different properties. So this is the second statement B I am calling here. And if you compare the statements A and statement B, you will find that the right hand side of both the statements are same, independent of path and independent of path. So what logical conclusion you can draw from these two statements is, since the right hand side is same, the left hand side, that means W adiabatic and change of property, these two left hand sides can also be equated. So let us equate this. We can write as W adiabatic must be representing change of some property of the system. I am underlying some property of the system. Logical conclusion we can draw from statement A and statement B is that W adiabatic is nothing but change of some property of the system. So due to application of work in adiabatic way, some property of the system is changed. What is this some property that must be changing? We can think of this. So our scientific intuition tells us that this some property must be some kind of energy of the system which is changing during this process. So let us call this some property as energy and denote it by capital E. And let us write this in mathematical form as W adiabatic is equal to delta, means change, and E for energy, which is newly identified property, with the help of first part of the Joule's experiment. I have added here the negative sign also to follow the sign convention. If you look at the diagram, the work is supplied from the surrounding to the system, and that's why, as per the sign convention, the work done is negative, and that's why this negative sign is added over here. I'm calling this equation as equation number 1, and this is nothing but the definition of change of energy. If you rearrange this equation, you can say that change of energy is nothing but the adiabatic works transfer across the boundary of the system. So in this way, with the help of inductive logic, Joule's experiment helps us to define the change of energy.